Yo, everyone's favorite Bitcoin billionaire just dropped a bombshell speech at CPAC, one of the largest conferences in the world, predicting 100x Bitcoin by 2045. Pressured the largest nation on the face of the planet to make the ultimate geopolitical chess move. Will Trump listen to Saylor's plan? Well, considering he was just spotted at Trump's Mar-a-Lago, I mean, what do you think they talked about? Maybe President Trump and Saylor are closer than some people think. Maybe, just maybe. Trump is more than likely listening to Saylor and buying a massive Bitcoin position. I mean, we did hear David Bailey at Saylor's 100K party admit that Trump owns a lot of Bitcoin. And we know the vice president, JD Vance, owns a lot of Bitcoin as well. Well, no more delay. Let's jump straight into the clip of Michael Saylor at CPAC.
This nation became great because of the Louisiana Purchase. We bought a third of the country from Napoleon for a few $1 million. Then we purchased Texas and California from the Mexicans for a few million more. Then we purchased Alaska from the Russians for a few million more. We didn't even know there'd be $1 trillion of mineral rights underneath Alaska when we purchased it. They called it Seward's Folly. But what I'm describing is manifest destiny. If you want to create a great nation, you have to build it on valuable property. You have to know, where is all the money headed? Where is the future? When we bought California, we didn't know there'd be a Hollywood. We didn't know there'd be a Silicon Valley. No one really considered. In 1867, we didn't have a petroleum industry. And so where is the money headed in the future? The money's headed to cyberspace. Bitcoin is property in cyberspace. The manifest destiny of this country is to own cyberspace. And I think that President Trump understands the value of owning scarce, desirable property. If we go to cyberspace and we buy Bitcoin and the nation embraces Bitcoin, then all of the capital in the world, all of the Chinese money, all the Russian money, all the European money, all of the money from the 20th century, the money invested in a Siberian warehouse, the money invested in fill in the blank, anything you could possibly own in Africa, all of that capital is flowing into cyberspace. It's going from physical to digital. It's flowing from the 20th century to the 21st century. The 21st century is going to be 1 billion AIs thinking 1 million times a second. And what are they going to be using to move their money around? They're going to use digital money because they can't get a bank account. They can't get a credit card. I have to approve my wire transfers from my bank once a week. It takes about 20 minutes, and they ask me on the phone whether the money should move.
It's a good problem. What's 478,740 Bitcoin, Michael?
The computers.
We don't feel too bad is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I get it. But my point we've been doing it that way for 50 years. And if you look at the way the digital economy is going to run in the 21st century, it's going to be 1 billion computers thinking 1 million times a second, moving assets at the speed of light. Bitcoin represents digital capital. That network is $2 trillion today. It's going to be $20 trillion in 4 to 8 years. It's going to be $200 trillion in 20 years. Then it's going to grow faster than every other asset in the world. It's going to continue to grow.
All right, huge speech. I'm joined here with the legendary one and only BTC Sessions, of course, my legendary co-host, always optimistic, Optimus Fields, and of course, Brian DeMint from the Orange Collapse. So guys, we have a hell of a show lined up for you guys, but first commentary on Saylor's speech. First of all, it was at CPAC. For anyone who doesn't know, this is the largest conservative conference in the United States. This is the conference of the conference. And the fact that he's basically saying that the US's future manifest destiny is to buy 20% of the Bitcoin supply is a massive, massive statement. I can't emphasize that enough. This isn't a Bitcoin conference. This isn't just him speaking at a business conference. This is one of the largest political conferences in the United States. And he's basically making the case to the American people that is the manifest destiny of the United States into the future to own 20% of the Bitcoin supply. For anyone who doesn't know what manifest destiny is, in the early days of the United States, it was just the eastern seaboard. It was the original 13 states, the 13 colonies. And then it was manifest destiny to expand all the way to California. And that's what happened, right? Through the 1700s and the 1800s. And eventually, it went from New York and it ended up in California. And I think the last state that was purchased was Alaska, right? That was manifest destiny. Like the American presidents, they always wanted that. And essentially what Michael Saylor is saying is like, look, now there's physical space. Look at the good decisions that we made with Louisiana and Alaska, but now there's cyberspace. And in cyberspace, there's Bitcoin. It's absolutely scarce. And there's a very short window of opportunity where the US could position itself to get a huge portion of the supply. And if that happens, and there is a non-zero chance of that happening with this pro-Bitcoin administration, then you're going to see a domino effect happening worldwide. So anyways, guys, if you guys are enjoying the show so far, smash that like button. If you do believe the US is going to follow in Saylor's manifest destiny, drop 1 in the chat. If you believe that the US is not going to follow Saylor's Bitcoin manifest destiny, drop 2 in the chat. I'm going to pass it on to Ben. Ben, I mean, that was quite a speech. And what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's super interesting watching this at CPAC here. Because this isn't the first time that we've seen Bitcoin injected into a speech at CPAC. A couple years ago, 3 years ago now, the Canadian trucker protest, Ted Cruz read the letter from Nunchuck Wallet to the Canadian government, basically telling them to shove it, that they cannot, and even if they could, would not give up any information of the protest fundraising efforts. And then they left it with, when the Canadian dollar fails, we'll be here to serve you too. So the audience at CPAC has already been primed to, what I'm getting at is, this is not their first touch point with Bitcoin. So while this one may not start an avalanche, they're on their way. So it's weird that, it is obviously a political thing now, but eventually everybody will just use it. But I think the conservative side is primed to hear this kind of messaging right now.
Absolutely, man. And it's momentum. And during the numbers segment, Kash Patel got confirmed. There's a video of him got confirmed to be the FBI director. And there's literally a video of him saying we should end the Federal Reserve. I mean, like, if it's going to be any administration that, buys a crapola ton of Bitcoin, it's going to be this administration. Anyways, I'm going to pass it on to Brian DeMint of Orange Palap and a friend of the show, of course, and a personal friend of mine. Brian, what do you think, man? That was crazy. I did not expect Saylor was going to be at CPAC. And the reason I didn't expect it is because it's like, man, if the Democrats go back in power, like, I don't think they're going to be too happy about it. Like, I think he chose a side. Like, he's obviously going with the red wave. The Republicans took the presidency, they took the House, they took the Senate, they have the Supreme Court. But it surprised me that he's, in a way, he is kind of choosing a side. Am I wrong in interpreting it that way, Brian?
Yes, and you're not wrong. You're absolutely right. That's why I'm saying yes. It's an all or nothing moment. I think that everybody from your Kash Patels, from your appointees and different, Elon Musk is doing the same thing. Elon Musk was the darling. Elon Musk could have rode the fence even after buying Twitter and being, the free speech platform or whatever. He still could have avoided endorsing Trump, but these guys are recognizing that they need to go all or nothing in order to make it happen. Now, for the audience, pay very close attention to the subtext here of what Saylor is saying. He's talking about manifest destiny repeatedly. Let's do the math. And I did this in a tweet the other day, so you can check it out and check the math. If you take all of the acres of land in the world and you divide it by 21 million, the number you get is 1,714. So that means that if you were to equate the Bitcoin network to owning one Bitcoin, it'd be like holding 1,700 acres of land. Okay. So one Bitcoin is like holding 1,700 acres of land compared to all the world. Now, what Michael Saylor said was California, Alaska, Texas, and the Louisiana Purchase. All of that combined was 1.2 billion acres of land. Do you know what 1 million Bitcoin is? It's 1.7 billion acres of Bitcoin. Manifest Destiny and the math is not, it's not a coincidence. It's not an accident. Saylor is speaking specifically to if the US wants to achieve what it did in terms of physical land and space and power, if we want to do the same thing in cyberspace, we have the same play at our fingertips. It's the equivalent of buying Louisiana for $15 million to buy 1.2 billion acres of land. That's what we get to do in cyberspace. There's a mathematical, and if you don't think that Saylor's already made that calculation, he's just not saying it out loud. He's allowing them to come along so that they can be brought into the fold. It's the same thing. And so Manifest Destiny, I think we're going to hear that term a lot more in terms of cyberspace.
100%, man. And let's see what happens, because look, one of the things about Bitcoin that I love is this aligned incentive structure system. So, you'll hear, like, look, you got to be honest with yourself, right? Like, Saylor's pumping his bags. But what's awesome about Bitcoin is just because Saylor's pumping his bags, if you're holding Bitcoin, you're benefiting from that pump just as much as he is. The way that he phrases is that in the Bitcoin system, everybody wins, right? And that's in stark contrast with the fiat system, where there's a small amount of winners and mostly everyone is a loser unless you're part of the political class that's benefiting from the money printer. So, Opti, what's your take on this, man? I mean, CPAC, I mean, there's some crazy speeches. I'm not going to name anyone specific, but like Saylor at CPAC basically saying it's the manifest destiny of the United States to acquire 20% of the Bitcoin supply. Brian DeMint broke it down. He threw down the maths. What's your take?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think if you did hear the speech, and like Brian was saying, there's a lot of things that Saylor isn't saying, but he did say a lot of things that I think are a little different than the rhetoric we have been hearing from Saylor recently. As Nico was saying, it does seem like Saylor is picking a side now. It might be just because he's tailoring his speech to the audience that he's at, but I think it's very, very important to remember, like, this is a conference of not really Bitcoiners. Like Ben was saying, they're getting a couple Bitcoin touches. So now it's kind of interesting just how palatable it is to talk about Bitcoin in spaces that aren't just Bitcoin conferences. So you can tell that the narrative around Bitcoin's growing. People are becoming more receptive of Bitcoin. Obviously, the Trump administration has essentially gone full Bitcoin, doubled down on Bitcoin. I know they're kind of crypto here. So, they're learning. It's as me and Ben were kind of talking about this morning, everyone kind of goes through a shitcoin phase, or most everyone does. So are we surprised that nation states and politicians are doing it as well? Not really. But you can see that the conversation is kind of becoming a mainstream normal conversation. And I think that is a huge, huge development we're seeing. And the second part is, even though Saylor is saying these numbers that sound ridiculous, I'm sure everyone in the audience is like, Bitcoin's going to 100x in 20 years. Like, what are you even talking about? Like, $200 trillion market cap is a $2 trillion market cap today. Like, you are smoking the hopium, bro. But if you look at Saylor's 2045 or the, 24 model, I forget what
it's 2045.
Yeah, the 2045, 20-year model from here, or 21-year model from here, that is less than his base case model. And the base case was $280 trillion market cap. So he's even kind of, underselling what he actually thinks is going to happen. And I'm sure a lot of people are hearing this and they're like, yeah, that's cool. I'll buy some later. And it just goes to show that, as we've been kind of talking about recently, we are still very early in the Bitcoin price appreciation era that I think we're going to see. Obviously, it's the second month of the year. And I think it's going to be crazy, crazy amounts of inflows that go into Bitcoin, which means, hey, if Saylor, Trump, all these people are pumping our bags at any conference outside of just a Bitcoin conference, like, I am all for that. Keep pumping our bags, Mr. Saylor. I'm very cool with this. Obviously, for everyone here, you got to take your Bitcoin into custody. It's not just about number go up. It's about the freedom go up aspects as well. But hey, we are breaking out of the echo chambers. So as much as the Bitcoiners on Twitter are having a hard time wrapping their heads around the fact that, hey, there is a bigger arena here that we have entered into, and we got to kind of up our games, Nico. So maybe we need to start wearing suits on the show.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like the significance of this is like, ladies and gentlemen, make no mistake, Bitcoin has crossed the Rubicon. Like this is either in the process of going into the mainstream consciousness, or it's about to. There's a very famous Breitbart quote that like always resonates with me, which is culture, politics is downstream from culture, right? When you have Michael Saylor talking about Satoshi and Bitcoin at one of the most popular political conferences, you don't go backwards. And I think where this is going to end up, and I'm making a prediction here, but I think when you hear talk about ending the IRS, ending the income tax, you have Kash Patel talking about the Federal Reserve. You've had many speeches at CPAC about the Federal Reserve. Make no mistake, you're going to get to the bottom of all this stuff. Like when all this stuff with Doge is said and done, and you're going to everyone's going to identify what the root cause of all this is, right? And they're going to see that, you know, the one who's the one who's holding the smoking gun is central banking, right? And once that is discovered, what is the alternative to central banking? I mean, I say this all the time. It's either Bitcoin or slavery. Saifedean's wrote, you know, all the different books, right? The Bitcoin Standard, which it's so funny because that's actually the smallest book out of them. Then there's the Gold Standard. Gold was great, but it was captured because of its physical characteristics and what we've been living through as a society, as the world, the fiat standard over the last 50 years, and it's been atrocious, right? So what are the options, right? And it kind of reminds me of this like Thomas Sowell video that's like very popular on YouTube, which is like, you know, the guy asked him, he's like, so what do you think about ending the Federal Reserve? And he's like, look, it was done with good intentions, but it was an absolute disaster. And then the interviewer was like, so what do you replace it with? And he's like, you know, when you cut out a cancer, you don't replace it with another cancer. And I thought it was like such a great answer from Thomas Sowell. And guy's incredibly smart. I know, Ben, you have his book on your bookshelf in your studio.
Basic Economics. Yeah, it's a solid read. Thomas Sowell a lot of his stuff is, especially his interview stuff, is so accessible when he's just talking face to face with people. And again, he's not most people that go to our typical educational institutions nowadays, they don't get any of that. They get taught, you know, your typical Keynesian garbage, and they don't get to see the opposite side of the spectrum, the other ideas that are actually good. But they don't even get to contrast and compare. So which is a crime. But hey, things are shifting. As you said, people are waking up and they're being presented with these other ideas like, hey, maybe everything you learned, even through all of your college education and your pieces of paper that you put up on your wall, maybe that's all wrong. And maybe this is the solution. So I'm excited.
Absolutely. Brian, before we get on to the numbers segment, we got a packed show for you guys, everybody. We're going to talk about Kash Patel being confirmed, Coinbase, apparently their case with the SEC being dropped. We're going to be talking about the Orange Pill app. We're going to be talking about BTC sessions. So we have tons of content for you guys left up. So stay tuned. And of course, smash the like button. We're about to break 100 likes on YouTube. So smash that like button. And if you agree with Saylor, you think this Bitcoin manifest destiny is going to happen, smash 1 in the chat. If you don't think it's going to happen, smash 2 in the chat. Brian, before we move on to the next segment, any thoughts?
Last thing I would say is, you know, for anybody that is worried about the way Saylor's doing things, or I just would ask you to step back and say, do you want Saylor going out there and sounding like a crazy Bitcoiner, like one of us at a meetup, or would you rather him going about it in a sly, roundabout way?
100%. I think that was beautifully put. All right, everybody, let's move on to the next segment. But before we do that, guys, I do want to give a shout out to our lead sponsor. Of course, I'm talking about the best place to build your automatic self-custody Bitcoin stack, bitcoinwell.com. Enable your independence with the fastest and safest way to buy Bitcoin on-chain or via the Lightning Network in Canada or the USA. To get started, you put in your email address, bada bing, bada boom, takes 2 to 5 minutes to get verified, and you're ready to buy Bitcoin. What makes Bitcoin Well different and unique, and why we recommend it here at Simply Bitcoin, is that it's a completely non-custodial platform, empowering sovereign ownership with free and automatic self-custody. So what does that mean? That means that when you buy Bitcoin on Bitcoin Well, as soon as the funds clear, it goes straight to your self-custody Bitcoin wallet address. It doesn't even give you the ability to leave the funds on the exchange. If you're a higher net worth individual looking to buy $50,000 worth of Bitcoin or more, check out Bitcoin Well Infinite. If you're tired of dealing with terrible UI, you're tired of dealing with support emails that take 2 weeks to respond to you, and you want a real human being every time you want to buy or sell Bitcoin, check out Bitcoin Well Infinite. You're going to have a representative assigned to you. It's absolutely awesome. To get started, go to bitcoinwell.com/OTC. And if you're an American, you can now, and I believe in Canada, this has been available for a long time, but if you're an American, you can now get paid in Bitcoin sent directly to your personal Bitcoin wallet. Share your Bitcoin Well direct deposit details with your employer, set your Bitcoin/dollar split, and receive sats instead of fiat with every paycheck. What are you waiting for? Go to bitcoinwell.com today. All right, everybody, let's hit the numbers. We have tons to talk about. Smash the like button. We'll be right back. I want to tell you guys about our sponsor, Stamp Seed. Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Are your seed words really secure? Stamp Seed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you'll need to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates instead of writing them down on paper. Don't do that. Paper sucks. You want to literally stamp your seed into this plate of titanium. Your words are actually stamped into the metal plate with this hammer. So once your words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and your pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamp seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They are also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and most importantly, because this is generational wealth, time-proof. All things that paper is not, allowing you to hodl your Bitcoin for the long haul. I mean, here is the plate that they crushed. They put in water, they put a blowtorch to it, and as you can see, the words have survived. Stamp your seed on Stamp Seed. And you can use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on their store. Head over to stampseed.com today. All right, everybody, imagine, 50 years from now, and your grandchildren are going to look at you and they're going to be like, Grandpapa, are you going to give me the Bitcoin? Are you going to pass it on to me? You told me that you stacked Bitcoin under 100K. And then you're going to look at them in the eye and you're going to say, no, because I wrote down my seed words on paper. And they're going to look at you in shame. Don't do that. Stamp your seed onto titanium. Head over to stampseed.com today. At the time of the recording, the Bitcoin price is $96,950. Block height, 884,740. Sats per dollar, 1,032. Market cap, 1.92 trillion. Bitcoin versus gold market cap, 9.34%. Percentage issued, 94.41%. Decline from all-time high, negative 11.2%. All right, I'm going to stop it right here. Is the price of Bitcoin being manipulated, bro? Because, hit it, Ben.
Dude, this is bullshit.
We were at 99, and I bought the top again. I was like 99. It's like 99,500. All right, we're going to break through. This is going to happen. And nope. Just dump. It dumped.
Yeah, it's garbage. I'm full Samson Mao mode now. Something is afoot. I'm not keen on it. Also, it's time to reflect. Also, all of us can step back and realize that we're all just livid, and we're at 96K, which is kind of hilarious, but still.
I feel like Bitcoiners chasing the dragon. We remember 2017, 2021. We're like, hey, can we get that feeling back, man? Anyways, last number is realized monetary inflation, 0.98%. In the grand scheme of look, it's continuing to take fiat currencies to absolute school, embarrassing them. Anyways, I'm going to take you guys down a rabbit hole. Of course, you guys know RFK. He was nominated as health secretary. I believe that was the title, right, Opti? And this is what I said. I said, you know what's crazier than a Kennedy being back in the White House? A Kennedy that has the majority of his net worth in Bitcoin in the White House. Here's the clip.
How has your experience been so far?
I'm a huge supporter of Bitcoin. I was here a year ago at the other Bitcoin conference. I went home with most of my wealth into Bitcoin. So
you hear what he just said? That guy's in the White House. He just said that he has most of his wealth in Bitcoin. Trump, according to David Bailey from the Michael Saylor 100K party, he says that Trump owns a lot of Bitcoin. JD Vance, it's confirmed that he owns a lot of Bitcoin. RFK, it's confirmed that he has the majority of his wealth in Bitcoin. And you think Bitcoin ain't going in that sovereign wealth fund? You don't think that manifest destiny thing is going to happen? I mean, like American Hodl's quote rings in my head, like no one's better than their incentives, right? So if the whole administration is holding Bitcoin, like it's like they're almost incentivized to pump their bags. And it sounds bad because it's like, wow, the president's pumping his own bags. But it's like with Bitcoin, compared to all the shitcoinery that's been happening, it's everyone wins, right? It's not a zero sum game, right? It's aligned incentive structures. But the breaking news, what I wanted to talk about today was Kash Patel. So Kash Patel was nominated he's confirmed, I apologize, to be the head of the director of the FBI. And he was voted in the Senate yesterday. He got 51 votes. And he had something really interesting to say about the Federal Reserve. Let's check it out.
Also, I think we got to educate people that the Federal Reserve is not a public government entity. It's a private entity owned by the robber barons that started this country, who manipulate the currency to their advantage. And that needs to be tackled. Again, I'm not the economic guru. I just know it's a problem. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know what the solution.
I mean, we know what the solution is. Anyways, we're on the verge of breaking 2,000 live viewers across all platforms. And of course, shout out to our Rumble audience. If you guys are enjoying the show so far, make sure to smash that like button. Help us break 200 likes by the end of the show. We're currently at 121, so smash that like button. Anyways, I'm going to pass it on to Ben. Ben, what are your thoughts on this, man? I mean, this is talk about shifting the Overton window. This is shattering the Overton window.
Can you imagine how excited Ron Paul is right now? Ron Paul, like just the vindication he must be feeling for this to be brought to the common vernacular of the nation, of somebody that is now in a position of power, being like, we need to end this institution. We need to fix the very root of all of these problems. And Ron Paul's been trumpeting this and the Fed for how long now? How many decades? And to see an administration that is now actively saying stuff like this publicly, it's brain melting that this is actually happening, to be honest.
100%, 100%. Like I just see the meme of him, like it's happening, and the guy's like 90, he's 90 years old, but he's still kicking ass. He has like a YouTube show, but like, could you imagine how long he had to wait? He had to wait longer than I've been alive. This guy's been fighting the good fight. He started the good fight. And now all of a sudden, like people are starting to wake up to what he's been talking about all these years. I'm going to pass it on to Brian. Brian, I mean, these are a lot of W's, bro. Like Trump kept his promise in Nashville when he said, you guys are going to get tired of winning, where I think maybe, I think a lot of us were disappointed when we launched the Trump coin, but he did repeal SAB 121. He did free Ross Ulbricht. He did end Operation Choke Point 2.0. Technically, he did cause the Bitcoin price to pump that time. But Trump, pump my bag some more because we're all getting bored, bro. Brian, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, well, going back to Ron Paul, there's probably one guy in the entire universe that if I found out someday that he was Satoshi, I would be satisfied by it. And if it was secretly Ron Paul. But while I have Ben on, we got tech support. Ben, I just want to make sure after that stamp seed thing, I'm gonna stamp my seed later. Did I do the checksum on this correctly?
It looks great, man. Can you hold that closer to the camera? I just need to see it really quick.
Okay.
Thanks,
Sweet.
man. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I
Cool.
got it.
Good. Yeah, almost reversed too. Anyways, my bad. Okay, so as long as we're good on that, yeah, one thing, going back to that RFK clip, just so people, like, this is inside baseball that you literally won't get on any other show, because I have a hot tip that nobody would know. When RFK was being interviewed right there for that fight, that was at Karate Combat in Tennessee. He was commentating the fight for Smilin' Sam Alvey, the heavyweight champion of that organization, a training partner of mine and a personal friend who was also orange pilled. So the guy who they were commentating the fight on is a hardcore Bitcoiner. So it's just crazy for people to understand, like, start to wrap your heads around when you see the tentacles of Bitcoin that are going out there. It's going beyond, like everybody in the sphere is becoming orange pilled. Everybody in that scene, it has exposure to Bitcoin. They're not just asking RFK a random question about Bitcoin. It's like that community is being orange pilled. It's taking over. And so we're seeing it in real time. This is what it looks like. And going back to the price manipulation thing that we were talking about, that's a real thing. If nation states, if you were a nation state and you were coming into Bitcoin and there were big bag holders that were like the gatekeepers of Bitcoin in terms of the price, and they had the ability to make the price, go up and down in the short term. If you were a nation state, you would get some guarantees from those big bag holders, like, hey, you better not let the Bitcoin price run before we can get our legislation in check. So it's not, I don't think, evil motives or bad motives. I think it's nation states trying to grasp any last chance they can get before the Bitcoin price runs, before they can get in through codified law that's going to allow them to get into Bitcoin in a real and meaningful way. So the game is changing. The Rubicon has been crossed, as Nico said. And yes, things like Kash Patel, the highest person in law enforcement in the United States, is now calling this out. He knows what the solution is. Like, Kash Patel is not a dumb guy. He's surrounded by an administration that's full of Bitcoiners. And the only people besides the gold bugs who are talking about ending the Fed are the Bitcoiners. Trump is a populist. And you even see this of Democrat critics of Trump before, like Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks. He even said, one of the things that he'll give credit to Trump for is that when in his first administration, he thought Trump was going to go to war. But then when Trump realized that his followers, that his constituents didn't want to go to war in the Middle East over Soleimani, then Trump didn't go to war. That he follows the lead of the people that helped get him in power, because he realizes that's how this system is supposed to work. And those are the people, and those are certainly the people that got him elected. So Trump listens to the voice. And now we have a mechanism through something like X that allows us to be amplified so that Trump hears and feels the Bitcoiners. So as long as the Bitcoin social layer stays in effect and we stay loud and we stay championing good ideas in the public sphere, we will end the Fed and we will have a replacement. We're going to remove the cancer and we're going to replace it with good, organic, clean food and a clean diet and a clean, holistic lifestyle. And everybody's going to be happier for it.
Amen. Bars, man. Bars from Brian DeMint. I absolutely agree, man. It really, I feel like we're like exiting this like dark era of human history, the era of fiat, and we're entering into the era of we're returning into the era of sound money. But this time, the sound money can't be captured; it can't be manipulated, right? I'm really, really excited, and I think it might be a little bit bumpy. I mean, you saw it. I mean, okay. One last thing before I pass it on to Opti, and this is the perfect tee up for Opti. I don't think it's a coincidence that the first pro-Bitcoin president was almost assassinated twice. Opti.
Yeah, I love it. Love it. Just to add some context of what Brian was saying, not only is Kash Patel surrounded by Bitcoiners, but we know he has six-figure investments in Core Scientific stock, so mining Bitcoin stock, and another six-figure investment in ETFs, Bitcoin ETFs. So he's also a Bitcoiner. They're surrounded by Bitcoiners. This administration, it seems to be completely infiltrated by Bitcoiners, and I know everyone in the chat's like, we don't like politicians. Yeah, but I'd much rather have Bitcoiners be the politicians, even if they're loosely, just having Bitcoin exposure. I think this is kind of how we've all been envisioning, maybe not how you envisioned it particularly, but how all of us have envisioned this in the long term, that Bitcoiners infiltrate the government, that Bitcoin is too big for the government to influence. And as the saying goes, Bitcoin changes you, you don't change Bitcoin. And I think we're kind of seeing the first innings of this. And to kind of reference the last thing that Cash Patel said in that clip, and Nico said it, and we all know it, like there is a solution to end the Fed. And it's, essentially, first of all, end the Fed. As we always say, you cut out the cancer and everyone moves to Bitcoin, avoids fiat currencies, and life's going to be better. And the last thing I want to say is, guys, this is not even my forte. I'm not one of these people. So, I'm caveating that with this before I say it. But did you guys notice his t-shirt there? He's wearing like a QAnon Trump t-shirt. Like that's the FBI director. It's literally, we live in a meme world right now. And I don't even believe in QAnon stuff, but like, this is just crazy. It's almost hilarious. Just like what timeline we're in right now. It's ridiculous to say the least.
100%. And I think honestly, like it would have been like, if they didn't do anything, if they would have just let Trump, do his thing, he would have had a second term, like all that stuff, like because they try to demonize him so bad. And I think they made a big bet on him essentially becoming unelectable with all the lawfare and all the media attacks. And I think that pissed him off. Have you guys seen his presidential picture? He used the same facial expression that he used in the mugshot. I mean, the dude is pissed off, bro. So yeah, I mean, absolutely crazy. Anyways, guys, if you think no.
If you think we moved into the better timeline, drop a 1 in the chat.
If you think we're still in the not better timeline, drop a 2 in the chat. Anyways, guys, we're going to hit the news segment. We still have a loaded show for you guys. We're going to be talking about Coinbase's case. The SEC sued Coinbase for selling unregistered securities. That was dropped. And then, of course, during the culture segment, we're going to be talking about the Orange Pill app, and we're going to talk about BTC Sessions. There's this great show on BTC Sessions, one of my favorite shows. It's called Simply Sessions. It's incredible. We're going to be talking about why are we bullish as well. And, of course, the Orange Pill app. We got Brian the Myth, the legend over here. So it's going to be a great show, guys. Stay tuned. We will be right back. I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Casa. Bitcoin security matters, but managing private keys can sometimes be complicated, especially multi-sig. What if you can secure your Bitcoin without worrying about losing a seed phrase or giving up custody? With Casa, you can completely control your Bitcoin with multi-key security, so even if one key is lost or stolen, your funds stay safe. No single point of failure, no stress. That's what I absolutely love about these guys. They make taking Bitcoin into self-custody incredibly easy with their best in industry user experience through their app. I've been personally recommending Casa for years now to my friends and family because they will get all the benefits of multi-key self-custody security without the hassle of having to learn complicated UI. And if you're thinking of one day passing on your Bitcoin to the next generation, their inheritance plan has you covered. Also, if you're a business looking to add Bitcoin to your treasury, do it the secure way with Casa for Business. To get started, go to casa.io today and get 5% off Casa Standard or Casa Premium with promo code SIMPLY. I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Foundation. It's self-custody done right. They built a premium grade hardware wallet called Passport right here in the US, and it integrates seamlessly with their free app called Envoy. Passport is fully open source and verifiable. It's the most intuitive Bitcoin wallet designed with a UX reminiscent of a classic feature phone, so you'll know how to navigate it and use it the moment you pick it up. It's also air-gapped, meaning Bitcoin stays offline, never touching an internet connection. It's Bitcoin only, open source verifiable, air-gap security model, gorgeous design craft, premium grade materials. Get your Bitcoin off exchanges and into your own hands in just a few minutes with Passport at foundation.xyz/simply. Get peace of mind for your piece of Bitcoin. All right, everybody, here's Opti, and he has the passport by Foundation Devices. No, he doesn't because he's traveling. That's Ben. Anyways, guys, use promo code simply, not your keys, not your cheese. We have Ben in the house, literally. He'll tell you everything you need to know about self-custody.
Take self-custody. That's all I got for you right now.
Boom. Exactly. Anyway, scan the QR code, use promo code simply. But yeah, guys, let me pull up this article. Bada bing, bada boom. And here we go. We're going to be talking about Brian Armstrong. This is kind of a big deal. I think this was a catalyst for the price pumping. I didn't think it was going to dump so fast. I totally bought 99.5. Now I feel like an idiot. But yeah, Coinbase says SEC agrees to right major wrong and dismiss consequential lawsuit against crypto exchange. It goes on to say there's a paywall. God damn it. But I got X. The SEC has agreed in principle to dismiss its enforcement case against Coinbase, a major US-based cryptocurrency exchange. This agreement, pending formal approval by the SEC Commission, marks a significant development in the legal and regulatory landscape for cryptocurrencies in the United States. There will be no settlement or fines associated with the dismissal. Brian Armstrong dropping the memes. Great news. After years of litigation, millions of your taxpayer dollars spent, and irreparable harm done to the country, we reached an agreement with SEC staff to dismiss their litigation against Coinbase. Once approved by the commission, which we're told to expect next week, this would be a full dismissal with $0 in fines paid and zero changes to our business. This is hugely vindicating, especially because many people question my decision to engage in litigation with the SEC on this matter in 2023. People told me the courts would give a lot of leeway to the government. They said public market investors wouldn't like it. They said it would take years and cost tens of millions of dollars in legal fees, which it did. They said the agency would use mafia tactics. I mean, Operation Choke Point 2.0, bro, like trying to pressure other companies not to work with us while the lawsuit was underway, which they did. But I knew a few truths that helped make it an easy decision to fight them in court. The SEC was wrong on the law. They were exceeding the authority given to them by Congress by asking us to delist a number of assets that were not securities. I mean, look, I'll say this, guys. I'll be honest. With Saylor speaking at CPAC, the Democrats fucked up. They should not have taken an anti-Bitcoin stance. I honestly, I could make a very solid case that, and because the younger demographic tends to vote Democrat, like, why would you go after their bags, bro? Right? You can make a case that it cost them the election. Like, you can make the case that the Democrats having an anti-Bitcoin stance essentially really, really hurt them. I don't know why they would do that. It was incredibly unpopular. To give them credit, they did walk it back a little bit, and they did try to approve the Ethereum ETF to kind of save face. But Biden, with the veto of SAB 121, which passed the House and Senate, like I think that was a huge political blunder. Now, what I hope happens, but now that Saylor's spoken at CPAC, I don't know. But what I hope happens is that they learn from this election, and the Elizabeth Warren camp of the Democratic Party starts to lose so much influence, because there are a lot of Democrats that support the industry. Senator Gillibrand, and of course, Congressman Ro Khanna, California, they're super pro Bitcoin. In fact, Ro Khanna spoke at the Bitcoin conference in Nashville. So the last thing that we want to happen as an industry is for this to become a partisan issue. But like, I don't think Bitcoiners cared about politics 6 months ago. I think we were forced essentially because of the Operation Choke Point 2.0. Like, I remember the day that I got super upset with Opti, because Opti was talking about the Trump derangement syndrome and all that stuff. Hashtag OptiGate. And I remember, like, I try to stop Opti like mid bit, and I was like, Opti, like Like, no, don't do that. Like, we have to be inclusive in our messaging. Then the week after, and we were covering this on Simply Sessions too, the week after, they went from arresting the Tornado Cash developers, trying to sanction open source technology. And I had the 1,000-yard stare, and I was basically saying, like, oh my God, they're going to use this as a precedent to, you know what else is open source software? Bitcoin, right? And then the Tornado Cash case happened. And then essentially the Coin Center tried to sue. They lost that case. And then essentially what happened was, as soon as Coin Center lost the case against Tornado Cash and the government, guess who they arrested? They arrested the Samurai developers. As soon as that happened, Simply Bitcoin went from neutral to Trump 2024, baby, to RFK 2024, right? Like, they galvanized the industry, right? And of course, when Trump dropped the I'm going to free Ross, like, I don't think that political opportunity would have been created if they just stayed neutral. But it's they forced us into a corner, and they made us react. And what's really kind of tragic about this, and I kind of see it like a Greek tragedy here, is it like Gary Gensler was kind of right with a lot of, these saying that a lot of these altcoins were securities. But the problem is that I think they pissed so many people off that now the pendulum is swinging so goddamn hard and fast to the other side that I think this is going to end up hurting people. I really think so, because I don't think Gary Gensler was completely wrong when he said that some of these digital assets were securities. I think he was right when he was making that case. So it's unfortunate, but it was self-inflicted. Okay, so I just had to add a bunch of commentary there. Next up, caving to their demands could have killed the crypto industry in America. I mean, Operation Choke Point 2.0, they were caught red-handed, right? With the arrest of Samurai wallet developers. They went after CZ. They went after Arthur Hayes. What's his name? Roger Ver. He has his sentence. Like, if he's convicted, he's going to jail for life. Like, I mean, it was pretty crazy, right? And I know they're all altcoin casinos and all that stuff and whatever, but I never forget the Binance press conference. And Ben, we did that show. The amount of times they use the word terrorism in that, look, it's an altcoin casino. It's degen. I get it. Listen, and I'm a libertarian. If you want to buy whatever, that's up to you. We're a Bitcoin only show. We recommend Bitcoin. Don't get wrecked. Stay humble, stack set. However, that's not terrorism, dude. Okay. That it's just degen casino-ness, right? But again, this is like a Greek tragedy, man. That's my stance on this, because it's by really forcing the industry to pick a side, in a way, it's just gone to the other extreme, right? And I think what we're going to see in the next 4 years is total deregulation. And look at what's happened already in the first couple months. I mean, the president of Argentina just scammed all these people, right? They're talking about I think Gary Gensler, in his heart, I think he knew the truth, but he got a lot of pressure from the White House. And I think the White House were not interested in regulating the industry. I think the White House were interested in creating a monopoly to roll out a central bank digital currency. I think if they were actually sincere about their proposed regulations, I think the American people would have been a lot more open-minded to it. And they didn't. And here we are, meme coin mania. Anyways, I went on a little bit of a tangent, but I'm going to pass it on to Brian first. Brian, what are your thoughts? And then we'll get Ben's.
I mean, I personally love Coinbase. I love FTX. I love whatever name X, Y, or Z exchange that's doing shady stuff that blows up. And particularly in the FTX case, they blew up and there was no bailout. To me, as a free market proponent, I'm like, that's how we should, that's how the market should regulate itself, is by things breaking and people getting hurt. And as sad as that is, right? I have friends that got hurt in that, but those guys are some of the most ardent Bitcoiners. They are some of the most sophisticated Bitcoiners in terms of making sure that they are diligent in their self-custody now, because they went through that experience. And so I don't wish for anybody to lose their entire, net worth. And I guess with the Malay stuff, I'm sure there are people in that country that were already poor that got poorer. So it's not to say that I'm not trying to be heartless in this, but if we want to advocate for a true free market, I like the idea that the pendulum swinging the other way to deregulation, in the sense that the altcoin casino might run wild a little bit again, but I just know that after the ICO craze, more true Bitcoiners were built in the wake of that blow up, in the wake of all the bad investments that generation, my generation of Bitcoiners made. We are the Bitcoiners of today. And I think that it solidifies your resolve and your commitment, and you have experience. When the next generation starts to dabble in the altcoin stuff, it's like, guys, I can actually show you receipts of bad moves that I made. It's not just theory. And if you look at the coin market cap chart, there's been one asset that has been at the top for 100% of the uptime of this industry, and it's not for no reason. Let me explain why. And then you can go down that. I believe that that's the path forward that I want to take. And I know that's maybe a bit of a contrarian view, because pure deregulation can be a scary thing, but I think that was the beautiful thing of FTX. There was no bailout. People got hurt, and guess what? Here we are today. People are building back, and we're getting back on our feet. And some people did it very quickly, and now we're better off for having gone through that.
100%. I 100% agree with you, Brian. I'm going to pass it on to Sessions. What are your thoughts on this, man? I know I went on a little bit of a tangent. We were covering this diligently on Simply Sessions, man. We were going through this whole rabbit hole of no, we got to stay neutral, to oh, goddamn, we might have to move. This is crazy. And they essentially forced our hand. And Brian, I like your take, man. Let the free markets roll. The free markets will figure it out. Ben, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I'm a fan of the hands-off approach. I think people learn better by getting burned and correcting for their mistakes. And we were just talking the other day, again, we're watching the entire world collectively go through their shitcoin phase. And a lot of people are going to get wrecked. Again, the president of Argentina just rug pulled a meme coin. I just said that, and it was true, is an insane thing. and so I think it's a good thing in that a lot of people are going to learn. They're going to learn very quickly, which gets us to Bitcoin only faster. But what I worry about is regulatory whipsaw. So like you're saying, Saylor's going on CPAC and everything, and he's championing this, and it's becoming very partisan. Well, what happens if there's an epic level of destruction at some point over the course of this administration, and then it comes time to the next election? Again, the Democrats get in and they just ban everything, just blanket ban everything. Can you imagine that environment? And that's what I worry about. And so I hope that's not the future that we're going to encounter. But in the meantime, as we were talking about self-custody, people need to learn how to use the tools properly. And people that are actually building the tools need to spend time building stuff that is resilient to that top-down pressure, that can't be messed with, that is built in a way that is done privately as well. So you can't be the dev that gets arrested for making, an app that anybody can use. So we need to cherish this time and use it and not squander it, is what I'm getting at.
Amen. I completely agree. Good take. Opti, what's your opinion here, bro? This is Pretty crazy. Opti loves the politics, by the way, guys.
Well, honestly, I I think I was going to say this earlier and it skipped my mind, but as I've told you guys before, I came into Bitcoin apolitical, and now I just realize how much power you can have as a Bitcoiner if you do get political. Essentially, as Nico always says, if you're not in the room, you are not a part of the conversation. And I think this is how Bitcoiners do kind of, like really change things is by, obviously it's not going to be me because I'm definitely not a politician here. But if you're not in the room, if you aren't trying to, play the game of power, because it does have an effect over our lives, like, what are we doing? We're just sitting, off the grid, with our heads in the sand. It's like, I think this is how we actually legitimately move the needle, is by us Bitcoiners getting involved and, getting movements and being vocal and understanding what they're doing and giving them feedback. So that's the political thing. Yes, I am becoming more political now, Nico, thanks partly to you and partly to, hashtag Optigate. But my first thoughts is, Nico, I am vindicated once again here on the show. Gary Gensler was the good guy. I said it first. Everyone's like, you're crazy, Opti. He's not a Bitcoin maxi. And now we're seeing what's happening when there is just a floodgates being unleashed into the quote unquote crypto markets. Now, obviously, I would, disagree with, Brian Armstrong about securities and stuff. But as we talk about all the time on the show, we really don't want the government or government agencies to pick winners and losers here. And, depending on your vantage point, some might argue that the SEC is unconstitutional to begin with. So, I'm not the biggest fan of this ruling, but I'm also not a big fan of the SEC. And kind of like Brian was saying as well, I am a huge fan of free markets. And like Ben was saying, me and Ben were actually having this conversation this morning about it seems like the whole world is learning about shitcoins, and a lot of people are going to get wrecked. And hence why we try to do our best to just get people to go Bitcoin only. And talking about the Malay stuff, his opposing party now is talking about impeaching him over this whole shitcoin scam. And of course, Trump's shitcoin, we're not gonna, obviously we're being nice here with our current president, and I can't expect him to be perfect, but I think what we're seeing is the world learn that you want to go Bitcoin only. This is the only way to actually succeed.
Not get rugged.
Yeah, not get rugged. This is the only play to actually succeed. But again, as we've been saying on the show earlier, these conversations, the Bitcoin only message is crossing that Rubicon into mainstream consciousness. And hey, the world's going to figure out that Bitcoin maximalists are right. We're the good guys here, even though we're the toxic assholes and everyone makes us seem like you're so tribal, you're the bad guys. And we're like, no, we're, not only protecting ourselves, but we're trying to protect new people coming into the space. And one of the things I said in the chat earlier, and something, Nico and I have kind of learned throughout this whole thing, is that there is so much good Bitcoin only content now that you don't have to go down the shitcoin, wreckage that would happen for us. I got in 2017, and within 2 weeks of being on Twitter, it was like, Bitcoin's MySpace. It's old. You should try this fancy dangled shitcoin here. And, lost money. And then I realized, hey, the fastest route to being a Bitcoiner is getting wrecked in shitcoins. Now we're seeing this on a global scale. It's going to get uglier. And as I said again on the show a while ago, it looks like we are going to see a whole new round of Wall Street degeneracy in shitcoins, and it's going to be bigger and more explosive than we've ever seen ever in all of the history of Bitcoin or crypto. And man, let's just hope we can get more people onto the safety boats than getting wrecked.
No guardrails whatsoever. Nothing. Zero. It's just going to be full free. And Brian is smiling, completely. He's like, hell yeah. Laissez-faire, no free market maximalism, no guardrails, no nothing. But I gotta say, with what Ben was saying, because you have to understand, look, if you're, how do I say this in a very nice way? Okay, listen. So if you are a free market maxi, then you accept if you fuck up, you messed up. But if you take human nature into account, right, a lot of people don't like that, right? So, if there's a mess up, a lot of people's knee-jerk reaction is bail me out. More government. Bail me out, government, right? So, that's the only thing where there could be a whiplash. And because people don't know the difference between, like, they really don't, the difference between the Bitcoin industry and the crypto industry, that's my only worry, right? Yep. And we're only 2 months into the Trump administration, bro. Like, God damn, you know.
Wait, guys, are you ready for 4 years of this?
So, like, maybe he launched the coins, like, already, you know, so it was great. I mean, he did launch it before the inauguration.
Wait, are you guys ready to see Elon Musk spurge out for 4 more years of this? I don't know if I am. I might have to tap in.
I mean,
the degeneracy that we've seen just in the first month of the year is like the worst of the ICO craze. Like, it's insane levels of degeneracy that's happening right now. I mean, I'm all for it. Like, just let it happen. Let people figure shit out. It was funny. There was a tweet the other day, and it was some shitcoiner that's on X, and he was like, "Oh my God, I'm so exhausted. Does anybody know a project that won't rug pull you?" And the response from everybody was like, "Bitcoin, you fucking idiot."
Just no love, dude. But that's the difference, guys. Like, what's the difference between a man and a boy? A boy blames others for his mistakes. A man owns up to his mistakes. That's the difference. So if we're a bunch of pansies in crypto land that want regulation to save us, then go for it. But if you want to man up, freaking sack up and get some Bitcoin.
Absolutely. Amen to that. All right, guys, we still got the culture segment left. We're going to talk about the Orange Pill app with Brian DeMint, and we're going to be talking to Mr. BTC Sessions about BTC Sessions. So, guys, if you guys are enjoying the show so far, we have 2,700 live viewers across all platforms. Shout out to the Rumble audience. Shout out to the YouTube audience. Smash that like button. We're at 183 likes. Help us break 200 likes by the end of the show. So smash that like button. There's 400 of you guys watching just on YouTube. So smash that like button. We'll be right back. We're going to hit the culture segment. Here we go. I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, HIVE Digital Technologies. As the first ever public miner, HIVE's been battle tested through every possible market. And as the first with an AI strategy, HIVE continues to redefine the future of sustainable energy. Also, gotta casually drop this in here, HIVE consistently tops the industry in Bitcoin mined per exahash. They're lean and mean, they're green and clean, and they're changing the game. Learn more by following them at HIVE Digital Tech or check out their website, hivedigitaltech.com. I want to give a very special shout out to our sponsor, Compass Mining. They make Bitcoin mining accessible to everyone, from beginners to experienced investors. Their turnkey miners gets you online and hashing within 48 hours, making it easier than ever to start your mining journey. Plus, with their active marketplace, you can resell your miner at any time, adding flexibility and value to your investment. Visit their website to access a wealth of resources, learning everything you need to know about Bitcoin mining. Take your first step into the world of Bitcoin mining with confidence. Discover more at compassmining.io. Again, compassmining.io, and see how Compass Mining can power your success. All right, everybody, we are back. And we got Brian DeMint in the house. Stack friends who stack sats. Join the 15,098 Bitcoiners that are currently on the app. Guys, if you don't have any friends because you're on a Bitcoin standard and people just like, you know, you got your normie friends and they don't, you know, you you don't really have anything in common with them anymore. It's like the meme of like the guy where you like tell him, like, look, the whole financial system's broken, central banking, bro, the money's broken, everything's crazy, it's messing everything up. And he just looks at you and he's like, did you watch the game last night? If you're in that situation, you got to check out the Orange Pill app because you can connect with fellow Bitcoiners. Ben's on the app, I'm on the app, Opti's on the app. Opti loves when other Bitcoiners message him. So check out the Orange Pill app. Check out the Orange Pill app. Stack Freds who stack sats. I personally answer every single one of the messages. Okay, Opti.
I don't think I've responded to anyone. I barely respond to my mom though, so don't hold me to it.
Message me or Rustin. We'll get back to you guys. Opti's anti-social, and that's okay. Anyways,
I'm on it right now. I'm just checking who's in the Miami area. So
if you want to see.
I'll bring Opti. Opti is gonna come with me, and we'll hang.
If you want to see BTC sessions in Miami with his nice tips, send him a message on the Orange.
To be fair, though, I'm more social than Nico in person, but just not on anything on the internet. But anyways,
we got Brian joining us today, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Of course, guys, the Orange Pill app is awesome. Super great place to connect with Bitcoiners. If you're on the go, if you're just getting into the scene, you're traveling for conferences, you download the Orange Pill app and it will show you the Bitcoiners near you. It'll give you the ability to send them messages. You could also check out the events, Bitcoin events that are happening. There's a Simply Bitcoin group. It's dope. Rustin's on the app, so you can message Rustin and you can go down the rabbit hole of, whatever Rustin talks about. Just bring up Fort Knox to Rustin and Ron Paul, all right? And see where that conversation goes. Anyways, Brian, thank you so much for coming on the show today, bro. Appreciate it. What is the Orange Pill app for anyone who doesn't know?
Yeah, man. I mean, you guys said it beautifully. There's the online component, right? There's our podcast. There's the social component online with X or Nostr. Those are super valuable components. And the online community is really kind of what's gotten Bitcoin to where it is today. But one of the missing components of going into the future, if we truly want a Bitcoin society, a hyper Bitcoinization to happen, we need to have in real life connections. And that's what we're here to facilitate. Orange Pill app it's not an app you open to scroll through. You get in there, you have messages with local Bitcoiners, or you find local meetups. There's meetups in my area that I didn't even know about. They were on Orange Pill app. And I'll tell you what, if anybody's going to Vegas for the Bitcoin conference or any event for that matter, you absolutely want to use this app. There's nothing cooler than when you drop down into a big Bitcoin conference and then you open the app and it shows you there's like 1,500 Bitcoiners in your area that you can reach out to and message. And so like, obviously Nico and Opti, Ben, they get invited to all the cool parties, but some of us, we don't get invited to all the cool parties. Well, guess what? There's 1,000 different events when you go that are kind of off the grid, but you're going to find them on Orange Pill app. So if you've done the 9 to 5 thing at the conference, you're like, well, what do I do after the conference closes for the day? Guess what? There's a ton of stuff. There's a pub down the street where Bitcoiners are meeting. There's a beach party. There's a pool party. There's an after hours dinner. There's a steak dinner. There's all these different events that just random plebs can go to and meet up. So if you're feeling like you missed that in real life side of Bitcoin, which I think a lot of Bitcoiners do, I guarantee there's a Bitcoiner in your neighborhood. There's a Bitcoiner when you're traveling, when you touch down and you've got a day to spend in a random town, you can use Orange Pill app, which you can't use any other app to service that need. But one of the really cool things that we're launching actually next week, some of you, if you have Orange Pill app, you've already seen it pop up in your app. We're going to launch the full version on Android on Monday, but we just developed our own Lightning wallet inside of Orange Pill app. And so we believe that this is a massive part of the parallel economy that I know Ben advocates for, Nico and Opti advocate for. I'm certainly a big advocate for, because we have, with Orange Pill app, you can find in real life merchants. So you can find merchants right down the street, or again, if you're on the road, where can I get lunch and where can I pay in Bitcoin? You can find those merchants through the app. So that physical proximity is a game changer for you. But now, not only can you just zap them through a random wallet, you can zap them directly through the app using our native app. And I'll tell you what, I can't drop all the secrets that are coming, but our roadmap for development, not only right now does that Lightning wallet work beautifully, and it's seamless and smooth and fast, like lots of Lightning wallets out there. This Lightning wallet will have more functionality than any other Lightning wallet in existence. I promise you, your mind is going to be blown over the next 6 months of what's going to happen. Bitcoiners aren't even talking about the things that this Lightning wallet is going to do in terms of circular economy type stuff. So get ahead of the curve right now. I promise you, Orange Pill app is it's a rich, rewarding experience, because I can't think of a single time where I've met another Bitcoiner in person and I wasn't edified, I wasn't sharpened, I wasn't somehow just excited about the interaction. It's always a good interaction when I meet another Bitcoiner in person, and that's purely what Orange Pill app does.
Absolutely. And I actually have a really interesting story. So, with the founder, Matteo, that I know, Brian, you work very closely with. I got a message, and I've never met Matteo ever in real life. And I got a message from him, and he needed a place to stay in Miami. And I was like, yeah, bro, of course. I know Orange Pill app. Yeah, sure. And I was like living like in a more northern part of Miami at the time. And I was like, yeah, dude, just come and stay at my apartment, I guess. I'd never met the guy, didn't know who he was. I just like fellow Bitcoiner. I don't recommend this, by the way.
There should be a big warning on the screen.
Yeah. And, I'm like, oh, this is Matteo from Orange Pill app, like this is great. And I said, dude, ride through. So he says, okay, great. He lands, and he ends up coming to my apartment like 11:30. My wife is like super scared. Mateo's like a tall guy, and he has Italian accent. And it was dark, and I didn't even see his face. And he's like, "Hey, nice to meet you." And I'm like, "Here's the cover, and there's the couch." And when I woke up in the morning, I was like, "All right, let's get breakfast or whatever." Mateo was gone. But that was my like real like first like in real life experience at Orange Pill app. Now I don't recommend that. But those are the types of connections that you can make, right? Perhaps maybe not the first time someone asks you if they could sleep at their house, but you could build that relationship over time, like a real human being, right? Yeah, no, it was I was going to say it was a happy ending, but yes, it was.
That story's getting better and better.
It was a happy ending, and I appreciate.
I always say that on Orange Pill app, when you meet another Bitcoiner in general, it's like starting off on relationship second base. It sounds like you guys started off on third base, though. I mean, you guys, wow.
Yeah, verified. So it was verified. But anyways, Brian, before we go on, since you are dropping a Lightning wallet, I know you're going to do something interesting with that as well. But you told me before the show that you wanted to hit a very special message, because you get a lot of pushback on this message when you talk about spending Bitcoin. So maybe touch on the special event you're running with the Lightning wallet, your Orange Pill app Lightning wallet, and then transition into spending Bitcoin, because it's still a hot button topic in the Bitcoin space.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. So on Monday, when we go full send with, so it's already live on iOS, Android is going to have, we're going to have full capabilities for the Lightning wallet on Monday. We're going to start a brand new Lightning torch. And so for those of you guys that aren't familiar with the early days of the Lightning network, there was this thing called the Lightning torch, where people passed around a set amount of sats, and people would add to it over time, and then donate to open source development of the Bitcoin network. And so we're actually doing that amongst the Orange Pill app wallet users. Every member of Orange Pill app has automatically gotten their own Orange Pill app Lightning wallet. So you already have it if you're a member of Orange Pill app, or if you sign up, then you'll have one as well. If you want to participate in this Lightning torch, we're going to basically be donating the proceeds from this to OpenSats to make sure that the open source development of the network continues to propagate. So the way that it works is Orange Pill app is going to zap somebody 100,000 sats. And the beautiful part about this is it's part of the trustless nature of Bitcoin. We're gonna have a bit of faith in the Bitcoin social layer, and we're gonna pass this 100K sats around to different users. And so if you want to be sent the torch, and you can post about it on X and say, hey, here's my Orange Pill app profile, here's my Orange Pill app wallet. I want to be the next one to receive it, and we'll pass that to you. Now we're asking that everybody donates some sats and adds to the Lightning torch. So if it gets sent to me, I'm going to then add 10,000 sats to it. Now, if 10,000 sats is a little bit rich for you, go ahead and just add 1,000 sats or 500 sats. But then you're going to pass it along to another person, Our goal is to pass the Lightning torch enough times until it has 2.1 million sats. And then we're going to donate those to open sats for open source development for the Bitcoin protocol.
Absolutely. Beautiful, beautiful, man. Guys, go check out the Orange Pill app. Go to orangepillApp.com. So many exciting announcements. Like I said, it's a great resource to connect with fellow Bitcoiners. I feel like we're all isolated in a way. We're connected via cyberspace, but meet space is really important. Meet space, like we're still human beings after all, right? There's cyber connections, but there's in real life connections, like my experience with Mateo on my couch. So yes, those are very important. Those are very important to have in real life connections. Opti and I actually met each other at BitBlockBoom for the first time, and we got a room together. Yeah. So, so yes, in real life connections with Bitcoiners is very, very important. And definitely go check out the Orange Pill app. Go to orangepillapp.com to get started. And I kind of want to transition the conversation to take advantage.
Wait. No, I know the perfect transition because Brian missed it. And Sessions is also on this beat. Talk about spending Bitcoin, and then we'll plug Sessions a little bit. So maybe Sessions goes first.
So first off, I just want to say I'm learning a lot this episode that Nico often invites strange men to sleep on his couch. So that's good to know. But
wait, you're here.
You got a couch? My wife's with me. I'll stay on that couch. Yeah.
Wait, technically, I did sleep on your couch at your house.
You did. Yeah, you too. If you sign up for an Orange Pill app, you too can have strange men sleep on your couch.
Stack stats.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, again, Brian, you've written about this, and I think the Bitcoin circular economy is super, super important. And I've been living on Bitcoin pretty much primarily since 2020 now, and again, all of the tools and the communication tools like Orange Pill app and everything that we have available to us now allows us to build out these communities to be more resilient. We're talking about a regulatory whipsaw, what could come to fruition like later down the line. And we want to hedge ourselves against that kind of a situation. Well, how do you do that? Well, if you're reliant entirely with your Bitcoin on and off ramps, then those can be targeted. But if you actually, one, self-custody, but two, actually build a community where you can just use your Bitcoin peer-to-peer, then you become very, very resilient against that type of top-down pressure. And so like in Calgary, we've created the SAT market. And so the SAT market is basically, we went to the Bitcoin meetup and we reached out to other people on Orange Pill app, and we found a group of Bitcoiners that are tight-knit, and we said, hey, you understand this is better money. You already have skills or have goods or services or businesses or whatever, and you already earn dollars that you buy Bitcoin with. Why don't you cut out one of those steps, just accept Bitcoin, and we'll build a community together. And at this point, I'm getting like, I just had a farmer that lives a few hours south of me drop off like 50 pounds of beef to my house the other day. We were just chatting about my barber down the street. I pay in Bitcoin. I've got a personal trainer. I've got I've got like all these tradesmen. Like my basement was done and built by somebody that I paid for with Bitcoin. And so like you can build out these communities, and it makes you so that you're unshakable, even if worse comes to worse and we do see this regulatory shift a few years out. We don't want to have to worry about, well, what do I do with my Bitcoin now if I can't use it anywhere, or I can't exchange it for dollars, or it's really hard to. And just use it. Just use Bitcoin, and you'll find that you use dollars less and less until you just don't have any more dollars. And I think that's peak level maxi, is just you don't own dollars anymore.
Absolutely. But Ben, a lot of people don't know how to use Bitcoin, right? And this is a perfect segue to BitcoinMentor.io, because Ben himself, that's right, Ben and all his other mentors, they are, you can contract, is that the correct word? You can book sessions with them.
Yeah, you can book sessions with Sessions and other mentors. So we put this together. I would do one-on-one online sessions with people that were trying to figure out self-custody, do multi-sig, run a node, like all these different things that you start to dabble in as a Bitcoiner. And I just got fully inundated to the point where I actually wasn't able, I was unable to keep up with the tutorials, which I think is super important to have that free resource out there for people to learn whatever they like. But some people need some additional hand holding and some help. And so Bitcoin Mentor launched on Halving Day last year in 2024. We're coming up on a full year now, but we've got about 16 mentors on staff. And you can basically reach out and book either a la carte, like a single session, or you can buy like a larger package if you have like a growth trajectory of, oh, I want to learn self-custody and multi-sig and running a node and everything. And actually, if you can go up a little bit to Nathan there, that is Nathan. He is my opti, actually. So he's joining the show. And actually, if everybody could do me a solid, because I'm down here, it will be Nathan's first time hosting Why Are We Bullish Tonight. So if at 6 p.m. Eastern time, you want to go give him some support, he's going to be joined by D from CoinKite. He's going to be joined by Pablo from Bull Bitcoin. And he's also going to be joined by Joey from the Canadian Bitcoiners. So he's among friends. He's got a good support group there, but like, go show him some love. Jump in the chat and just he's a sharp guy. He's an incredible educator, and he's a fantastic host too. He's been hosting the mentor spaces 3 days a week on the regular. So hats off to Nathan.
Let me pop in here, guys. So I was gonna say something that wouldn't help viewership, so I'm gonna say the opposite. Go watch Why Are We Bullish Tonight and tell Nathan that I am the real opti and I am the better opti. So that is your homework today.
Oh man, the Canadian Opti, guys, go check them out tonight. YouTube.com/@BTC Sessions. You're most likely already subscribed to Ben's channel, but just in case, go check it out. The best tutorial channel in all of Bitcoin. If you want to learn anything about the latest and greatest Bitcoin wallets, go subscribe to Ben's channel. And if you want something more personal, if you want a session, go check out BitcoinMentor.io. Again, BitcoinMentor.io.
I think you can use it to book a session on my couch.
Yo!
Boom, boom, boom. Wait,
so now
bars.
there's two ways.
Hit the bars.
There's two ways.
Oh man. All right, guys, if you guys enjoyed today's episode, we broke the 200 goal. So appreciate you all. Appreciate everybody watching. 2,829 people. We love you all, guys. Smash the like button. Consider subscribing if you feel like we provided you value. And again, share Bitcoin content. Check out the Orange Pill app. Check out Ben's channel, BTC Sessions on YouTube. Check out Bitcoin Mentor and message Opti. He absolutely loves it. All right, everybody. Love you all. We'll see you on the next one.
Today's episode was brought to you by BitcoinWell.com, a Bitcoin-only platform on a mission to enable financial independence.